power of being silent. So if that is something that you are interested in, make sure you like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Let's get into it. So I feel like the power of being silent is very, very, very important. I feel like for me personally, when I was growing up in the household, it was always yelling and screaming, and my parents didn't know how to use being silent, as in like as a child, if I did something or if something was wrong, I couldn't like express myself or say what happened or how I felt. It was automatically they were right. So, and at that essence, they didn't know how to use the power of being silent. So for me, when I was growing up, I'm like, okay, this is what I grew up with, so this is how it's going to be. Like, this is what I'm used to. So now, growing up, it would be like, oh, if I have an issue with something or if I know something, I'm going to just speak on it. I'm not going to be silent. Like, if I know it, I'm going to talk on it. I'm going to let you know that I know it. If there's an issue, I'm going to speak on it. I'm not trying to hear what you have to say. I'm only going to say my part and what I feel like is right. I don't care about what you have to say, only because that's how it was growing up. So I felt like it was okay for me to just ramble and just say what I wanted to say and not have to listen to the other part or just always have an input. Not realizing the power of being silent. By being silent, I didn't realize that I literally don't even have to say anything. Like, literally, I could just sit there and not say nothing, and literally the answers that I want or I need literally will just come to me because I'm listening and not just rambling and trying to get my point across. So for an example, I could be in my head about something could really be bothering me, right? But I could go to the person and I could just go on and I could just ramble about how I feel, right? That person, majority of the time, I may feel like that person doesn't care, but I'm not taking the time to listen to what they have to say because, like I said, growing up, I don't care about what you're saying. Like, it was no sort of like, oh, I'm going to listen to what you have to say. So for me growing up, it was kind of like, I don't have to listen to what you're saying because what I'm saying is the only thing that matters. But if I would just sit and listen in silence, like just be in silence, not say nothing, you absorb so much information rather than taking yourself through the toll of trying to talk and get all of this and get all of that if you're just silent. I could be in a room with a whole bunch of people and I used to be like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to this person, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. But then I realized my piece is important. So I stopped doing that. Now, if you catch me and there's a lot of people, there could be a few people, I literally just sit there. I'll be quiet and I'll scope out the scene. You can see so much stuff and learn so much about a person before they even open their mouth by just observing and just looking at them and the way they interact with other people and the things that they do. By you just being silent. Before, I thought, oh, I need to learn this person by getting to talk to this person. That's how I'm going to get to know the person. No, I literally just sit there, be in silence. Oh, cool. I'm seeing how that person moving. I'm seeing what they're saying, how they're doing this, how they're doing that. And I'm taking that information in. Whole time, they're sitting there like, oh, she's sitting there being silent like she's weird. Nah, I'm not being weird. I'm sitting there and I'm observing and I'm looking into what you got going on and stuff like that. That's an example. Another example I can give is in an argument. It don't even really have to be an argument, in a disagreement. I'm going to let you get your point across first, and I'm going to just listen to what you have to say because what you're saying is important, and literally it could go into what I actually care about and what I have to say. So me sitting there, I'm going to listen to what you have to say. I'm going to listen to what you're telling me, what you have to say, what you're doing and stuff like that, because I could literally stop myself from rambling and getting upset and all of that because I'm deciding to be silent and listen. Cool. Now I have all the information that I need. There's no need for me to say anything because I already literally just got the information I needed from being silent. Whereas I'm telling you I'm about to go first. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Only thing that matters is what I'm saying because I want to get my point across. You going to hear what I got to say and that's the end of it. And I'm not trying to hear what you should say. And when you do decide to start to talk, I'm going to run over you and I'm going to say what I need to say. That's the end of it. That's how I used to be until I realized the power of being silent. Before, I ain't trying to hear nothing you're talking about. Before, I don't care what you're saying. I don't care how you're saying it. All I know is I'm right, you're wrong, period, the end of it. But that recently changed. So the power of being silent is very important. Even if I can give you an example currently in my life right now, right? We have to get personal. So in my life currently right now, I had a situation where I was very upset about something, but I feel like there's a time and there's a place for everything. There was a time and there's a place, and it just wasn't the time or the place to talk about the thing that I was upset about. So I was trying to wait until it was the right time and the right place. It was outside. We were at a gathering, so I wanted to make sure, I was still, on my P's and my Q's, but I was going to talk about it after the fact, like after it was over, to get what I needed to say out. Now, this specific person was intoxicated, so I did understand that, but I was just trying to let that person express how they felt. So the person's just going on and rambling about, how they felt and what they felt went wrong and da 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 da. Now, oh me, I would have been like, I'm not trying to hear nothing you're talking about. What I'm saying is right. Like, you're in the wrong. Like, we're about to talk about this right now. Forget talking about it later. We're going to talk about it right now. Get up. So, no, that's what we're about to do. We're about to talk about it. But in that moment, I had realized I matured so much, because in the past, I would have never sat there and just in silence and just listened to the person, what they had to say. Even if I cared, even if I didn't care, I would have never just sat there and listened in silence. I would have just rambled and said what I needed to say, and that would have been the end of it. But I've realized myself over the past weekend, I was just literally just sitting there in silence, and I was just listening. I was just listening. I was just listening to what the person was telling me, what the person was saying. And I'm just like, Like, mind you, I wasn't going to go into it. I wasn't going to go into it with the person because it was the weekend. It was a weekend, and the person was intoxicated, so I was just like, okay, cool. But I listened to what they had to say. So I let the person sober up, and we talked about it the next day. Now, the next day, when we did decide to talk about the situation, I did the same thing. I listened to what the person had to say. Even if I cared what the person had to say, even if what the person was saying was invalid, even if I didn't agree with what the person was saying, I sat in silence. I sat in silence and I listened to what they had to say. I looked at their emotions. I looked at their hand gestures. I just observed the person, and I just listened to what the person was saying. In my head, did I already know how I felt about the situation? Yes. Did I feel like she wasn't understanding that? Yes. But did I cut her off? Did I not listen? No. I still listened, and I got an understanding of where she was coming from. After she was finished speaking, did I speak? I said a little, couple sentences, but I had already had my decision made, and how I felt was already set in stone. So it wasn't no going back from how I felt. So I really didn't have much to say, because we would have been going in a circle. So for me, that was a big thing. Like, your girl was sitting in silence. Like, I was literally sitting there just listening. Before, I would have never been sitting there and just listening to nobody, because like I said, growing up, it was always rah 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 rah. Like, I'm not listening to what you have to say. What you have to say isn't valid. If I'm asked a question and I try to answer, who are you talking to? Did I ask you to talk? And in my head, I'm like, yeah, you just asked me to talk. What do you mean that I asked you to talk? You just told me to give you an answer. So me just automatically just going and just talking like, boom, I'm just about to give you an answer, was something I was used to. So once I changed my thought process of literally just sitting in silence, you learn a lot about a person and a subject by just sitting in silence. Literally just sitting in silence, you learn a lot of information about a person. And that doesn't even just go in regards to if there's like a disagreement or something, or if you're unsure about something. It also goes in regards to growing as well. Like, boom, you can learn a lot by just sitting in silence. So imagine you know something about a subject, right? You feel like you're the top, you know everything about that subject. There could be something that you don't know that one person in that room knows, but because you're being oblivious and you feel like you know all of this information and you're not sitting in silence and allowing other people to talk and take the room and take the stage, you're not going to get that valuable information because you're so busy rambling and running your mouth and doing all this extraness when literally you can just sit in silence. Imagine. Like, I feel like the most successful people know to sit in silence. Like, I feel like because you gain so much and you learn so much by just sitting there and just being silent. Like, you gain information, right? So I'm just sitting here. I know the stuff we're just learning. Like, I know the stuff we're learning, right? I know the stuff we're learning, but I'm gonna sit here and now I'm grasping. I'm grasping other information from somebody else that I thought I didn't even know they knew. I thought I knew everything. But because I sat there and I listened to what the person was saying, I just gained some more information. So never feel like because you're not the boldest person in the room or the person that's always getting the attention or the person that's boasting and doing always, in the center, that you're less knowledgeable. Because I don't believe that. I feel like the person that's quiet in the room is the one with the most knowledge because they're already knowing to be silent and just listen. You feel me? So for me, that's how I feel about it. Like, if you're always in the room and you're hypers in the room and you're the boldest in the room, I'm not even looking at you. I'm looking at the person that's sitting there, quiet, observing, looking at their surroundings, like really paying attention. At least for me, that's how it is for me. I don't know about other people, but for me, that's how it is. I'm looking at and observing. So the person that's also looking and observing, I'm feeling like we eye, like we seeing the same thing, we're observing the same thing. We know to just sit and listen. Sit and listen. We know to just sit there and listen. We don't care about none of the other information that's going on. None of da. We're sitting there and we're listening. Whether it be, like I said, networking, whether it be in a confrontation with someone, especially in a confrontation, I feel like, especially to de-escalate a confrontation, I feel like you should just sit there and just listen to the person or just be quiet. Even though the person is in the wrong, just be quiet. Because I promise you, by just being silent, you're going to make that person more upset because you're unbothered. You're literally unbothered. You're being silent. So for me, that's a big thing on being silent. Silence is a virtue. Silence is important. I feel like everybody should have an understanding of how to be silent and just listen to one another and just observe. So if you ever see me and we're hanging out and I'm just there, like I'm quiet, and you feel like, what's going on? Like, are you out of place or something? And it's a new environment. No, I'm scoping the scene, babes. I'm trying to see what's going on, where I'm at, who I'm around, what this person is like, before I even decide to approach the person or before the person or thing even decides to approach moi. Okay? So, like I said, if you see me sitting there and I'm just in silence, I'm scoping the scene. I'm seeing how each person interacts. I can learn a person's personality and their ways by literally just staring and looking at you. I can tell if you're a good person or not by literally just observing you. And I'm doing all of that by being silent. I don't need to be rah-rah. I don't need to be ha-ha. I don't need to be in your face, talk to you, da-da-da. No, I literally can just sit there and observe you and scope you out and could tell literally by just doing that your characteristics and everything. Literally. Just by being silent. So the power of being silent is very important. So I would definitely say try to implement being silent into your daily routine. Like, if you ever see yourself like, in an argument, trying to get your point across, just be silent and just listen to the person. Look at the person, looking at their body movements, looking at their facial expressions, the emotions they're making, the things that they're saying, everything, their gestures, everything. You can learn a lot by just sitting in silence and observing somebody or the situation at hand. You can learn a lot from just doing that. Also, in a room, if you're deciding to go to a gathering or you're deciding to do something, scope out the scene first. You don't have to be the one to be like, hey, hi, I want to talk to every person, get to know the person. You can do that, cool, but I would say scope out the scene before you decide to do that. Sit down, be quiet, or stand up, get a little drinky drink, be quiet, and scope out the scene. See what's really going on before you decide to start jumping, hip hopping, and being like, hey, oh, Joe. You get what I'm saying? So for me, that's something I learned. That's a big, big key virtue and everything that I have going on in my life currently. The movement of being silent, the power of being silent, instead of just being bold and just talking and just not even listening to the other person, just trying to get my point across instead of trying to listen to what the other person has to say. So that's what this current episode is about being quiet, listening, observing. Your girl, whew, I'm not going to say it's been easy to do that, because there's been some instances with a S, where it's been hard for me to just sit and listen. Like, it's been hard for me to just sit and listen, and now I literally have to like like, I just have to be like I have to hold it, because I know that it's important for me to just sit and listen and get the valuable information. Even if I'm not caring about what the person's saying, it'll help me not escalate the situation and allow the situation to get bigger than what it already is currently. So hopefully this episode allowed you to get a better gist of, like, the power of being silent. I'm not saying you have to sit there all day long or every day you just sit and listen to a person. No. But the first time you meet someone, I would definitely say sit in silence. Learn something, sit in silence. Don't always go and just listen. Listen to the person, listen to the thing, listen to whatever it is to gain that knowledge, Like I said, I feel like the smartest person is in the room is the one that's the quietest. I feel like the smartest person in the room is the person who is quiet in that room. So I'm looking at the one that's quiet in the room. I'm not looking at the person that's boasting, that's all up in her face, trying to get to know me. No, I'm looking at the person that's sitting there. I'm looking at that person. So, this is unedited. This is unscripted. This is just me flowing. We're just going to be flowing. And it's just coming off the tongue. So if there's a lot of if there's a lot of e's, it's unscripted, babes. It's unscripted. So this is the raw, the truth. This is how I feel. And yeah, so this is how I am when I'm like chill in my chill vibe. Excuse my voice. The weekend I had was kind of it was kind of a little crazy and hectic, but we're here, right? So make sure you like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. And make sure you comment about situations where you had to be silent in the comment section. I really will appreciate if you guys start to like communicate and comment in the comment section, because I want to know like your gist and how you feel about different things. In your headspace, and like, I know I'm not the only one struggling with being silent. So tips as well. Make sure you comment the tips that you have for me about being silent, because when I say it's a learning process, I don't know everything. I'm still learning as I'm going. I could use some help, because there's some instances where I was like, I want to fight right now. Like, I don't even care about what you're saying. Like, we could fight and then we could talk about it later. But that's how I be feeling. But I know it's not right, but it's a part of life. We're growing, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, make sure you like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!